to selling international funds, and you can decide I don't want to sell any product which has options embedded into it, not because I don't understand it, but because my clients will not understand it. So I think those are, asking all the right questions always tends, according to me, to lead you to the right answer as to how do you want to build that wallet share. It includes a customer making an additional purchase. It includes a customer who has already invested with you, not reducing his investment with you. And it includes a customer who has invested with you, giving you a reference of a new customer. Those are all three ways that you want to utilize to build your business. And to the point that you started this off with in terms of service delivery and customer service delivery, there is enough research in the world to say that increasing wallet share has to primarily do with the customer's experience with you. I'm not saying that you need to be a sophisticated brand or you need to do anything, but just as we all know how we come across to our customers, I think it's extremely important that experience that he has with you for you to increase wallet share. And I want to just spend 1 minute on this by saying that when I say customer experience, I mean customer loyalty and not customer satisfaction. Because there are enough brands in the world which has customer satisfaction but don't necessarily get wallet share. It is the the brands which have customer loyalty, for example, let's say an Apple as a brand which has gone where it is where the wallet share starts increasing. And so the only tip I could probably give there is that, and I'm coming back from DSP BlackRock, when you mentioned that the things that we experience, we give a lot of attention internally to every point of the contact that we make with the customer, right from how our email that is going to the customer is designed, to if the customer will walk into the office, what experience would he have, to the fact that our salespeople, do they have a common message to give in the way that they're giving it. All of that helps you get you the positive customer experience, customer loyalty. It'll lead to increase in market share. So if you're a business where you're an independent person who goes face to face with customers, everything from the way you dress to what you say to the content you have to share with that client will matter. If you're an IFA which has multiple people in your office, right from the experience of the customer with the office boy who goes to pick up the application to the operations person who may be handling a query for the client, matters for your client experience, your client loyalty, and ultimately the wallet share.
Maybe here is an answer for the gentleman who said that who does lot of investor camps, but the conversions are not happening. Maybe there is some missing link over here. What I meant also by UFA is that one single person cannot be a master of all, but maybe there is a case of several people who are experienced enough into different fields getting together and coming together under one common brand and starting a business. Over here I would like to open the questionnaires to the house, and anybody can take a lead from what we have discussed till now and would like to ask something.
Hello. Do we have questions from the audience?
Nikhil, a question? There's a mic here.
There's a mic over here. Reverse mortgage.
It is on the reverse mortgage, is that right? Reverse mortgage, it's a new product which has been introduced by the NHB. The guidelines are there, but it has not come into the limelight, it's not seen the sunlight till date. Though in the Western world, it's a very innovative product which has been there for quite a time. Unfortunately, as we are saying that Indians by nature are too attached to the properties, okay? And leaving or giving it to somebody, we still inherit that whatever we get, we give it to the next generation. So that concept is still on paper, though the working has been done on it. NHB has given the certain guidelines, but that product is yet to take a shape out of it. But definitely the things are working on.
Any other queries? Okay. I think we've had a very lively panel discussion, and I would like to thank all the panelists for the wonderful insights that they shared with us, especially I think going by the response, the notable contributors would be Devashish, Manish, and of course Ashish and Ajit, because believe me, I think this has been the best panel discussion we've had during this day so far. I'd like all of you to join me in thanking the panelists, and as a small token of our appreciation, I'd like to call on stage Mr. Bhushan Seth, Mr. Nishit Dalal, Mr. Kanak Jain, and I think taking the special privilege once again, Devashish being a childhood friend, I would like to hand over the citation to him myself. We'll take a quick break for tea. I think our thank Mukesh Bhai also for moderating the session, and we'll resume shortly after the tea break at 4:30. The panelists are already here. We are back to the final panel discussion of the day. The caption of the session is going to be Customer Retention Strategies, and the speakers on the panel would be Mr. Kailash Kulkarni and Mr. Puneet Chadha. Unfortunately, Mr. Sanjay Sachdev of Tata Mutual Fund is not well and has excused himself. Mr. Kailash Kulkarni, CEO of L&T Asset Management Company. He has 22 years of rich experience in sales, business development and operations, functions in banking, asset management and insurance industry. In the past, he was with Kotak Mahindra Asset Management Company and headed sales and distribution function of the AMC for all the verticals. He has also been associated with MetLife Insurance as head of agency sales and ICICI Group in different capacities. He is an MBA from Institute of Management Development and Research, Pune. Mr. Puneet Chadha, CEO of HSBC Asset Management India Private Limited, has 21 years experience in financial services across diverse areas including currency trading and advisory, consumer lending, capital markets and corporate banking, a member of the Asia Pacific Executive Committee steering HSBC's funds business in the region, and a member of the Indian Committee comprising of CEOs of HSBC's businesses in India. He is an engineer with a management degree. He has completed executive development programs from INSEAD and Harvard Business School. He has been with the HSBC Group for 18 years, the last 12 of which he spent as a business leader. In the past, he headed HSBC's commercial banking business, cards and retail assets, and securities services businesses in India. He's a keen golfer and is a keen collector of antiques and loves to travel. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished panelist to the dais. The moderator of this panel is going to be our member IFA, Mr. Rajesh Chheda. Welcome, Rajesh. Ms. Aditi Kothari of DSP BlackRock. She is the Executive Vice President at DSP BlackRock Investment Managers, currently heading retail relationships and co-head of marketing. She is also a member of the Executive Committee. After completing her Bachelor of Science in Economics degree from the Wharton School of University of Pennsylvania in '98, Aditi joined Merrill Lynch's investment banking group in New York, primarily working on M&A activities in the financial institutions group. In 2000, she returned to Mumbai to work for DSP Merrill Lynch's fixed income sales team. Aditi joined DSP Merrill Lynch Fund Managers in 2002 and worked on new initiatives, including establishing an offshore fund for foreign investors. In 2005, she went to study further and completed her MBA from the Harvard Business School in 2007. She now co-heads marketing for DSP BlackRock and is also involved in building and strengthening relationships with key non-bank related distributors. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Aditi Kothari to the August panel. Thank you.
Good evening, friends. I'm Rajesh Chheda, your fellow IFA from Goa, and I thank Next Advisors for giving me the opportunity to chair this interesting panel discussion. I begin this first by saying that one of the easiest ways to grow your customers is not to lose them. The average business loses about 20% of its customers every year, and just because it fails to attend to the customer relationships. The costs are staggering, but a few can understand the implication. For example, if we take A institute that has a 90% retention ratio every year and a B institute that has a 80% retention ratio every year, what it means is that, and both are adding 20% new customers. What it means is that over 7 years, A will double its customers base while B will be stagnant. And the impact could be a tremendous negative or effect on the profit and growth. We have with us the experts, and to start off with, what I would like to initiate is on customer retention strategies. What exactly do we understand? I would request the panelists to speak a few minutes on what is the understanding of this basic term, customer retention strategies, and whether they are changing in today's times. If so, in what way? Thank you. So, with Mr. Puri.
Okay, I knew I was being put in this seat for a specific purpose, so that I could go first. But can you hear me now? Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for having me here. As I was just mentioning, I knew that there was a specific purpose for me to be seated here, possibly because Kailash knew that this is the way the sequence of questions will flow. But anyway, I'm going to make full use of my first mover advantage. Customer retention strategies. I think in many ways, Rajesh, you've actually stolen my thunder, because when you started with what I think is an extremely acute observation, that the best way to acquire customers is to ensure that you don't lose them. And I think that's this very well put, very nicely put. That is, in a sense, what customer acquisition strategy is all about. It's about making sure that your customer base that is loyal to you, that is with you, does not leave you and go anywhere else. Because quite frankly, if you're going to have people stay with you, the word of mouth is going to spread, and you will essentially have a growing customer base. To the question whether customer acquisition strategies can stay static or need to change, the short answer is that we live in a very fast-changing world. We are talking to different sets of customers at different points in time. Back in about, let's say, 5 or 10 years ago, we were talking with very little influence of technology. We were talking about very few competing products, very few options that customers had. And therefore, it may have been, I think, a very different strategy that would have worked if you had to maintain your customer base or in fact grow it. In an environment which we are faced with today, where you have a very young customer base in terms of age profile, you have competing products, you have technology that is playing an extremely important role in how people make decisions and access financial services. You have competition that's actually growing very fast because entry barriers are low, and therefore the number of choices that customers have is grown many. The strategy to actually have a loyal customer base will be very different. It's far more complex, it's far more fast changing and dynamic, and far more challenging today than it probably was 5 years ago. And I can also show you, if some of you are not feeling good about what I've just said, that we are today in a much better position than we will be 5 years from now, because this change is going to continue and it's going to only accelerate. So I think it's very topical. It's very clear that if we don't solve tomorrow's problems today, we're going to actually end up with a bigger problem on everybody's hands.
So thanks, Puneet. I think you covered most of it. But I'd just like to share my thoughts, and I kind of echo what Puneet just said. I think if we were talking about 5-6 years back, it was quite a bit of a challenge to retain customers. But with the use of technology, I think things will become far more simple as we go ahead. I think more importantly, what I really wanted to share is that we have developed our business models as we grew in the business over the last 10-12 years. And why I'm just taking the last 10-12 years is about 98 onwards, you can say this industry really took off. And each one of us possibly had something in mind and grew our business, and then we kind of bifurcated into different segments within the customer base. I think it's important for us to know exactly what are we targeting in terms of the business model, and then basis that, we should then look at customer retention and growing the customers from there on, because sometimes it becomes quite futile to straddle all kinds of segments within the customer base and then work towards trying to do everything or retaining all the customers. So I think each one of us has to define our USP, and from that USP we really need to work towards customer retention. But this is a very, very important aspect for two reasons. One, what Puneet has very clearly said, that this actually helps you grow the business much faster. And more importantly, it also gives you new customers at a much more advanced way, because a happy customer is the best customer who can refer you far many more customers. And that is something I think this topic is relevant, especially in line and context with what Next Advisors is doing today, is marrying the use of technology with the servicing. And I think that's very, very important that this is being thought of by a group of IFAs, and all of you are here, that how we can use or how we can leverage technology to ensure that our service becomes more efficient and our business grows on the whole. So I would really compliment all of you for taking this initiative on that.
Over to Aditi, just a minute or so about what you feel on customer retention.
I have actually, I was told outside that I was going to be on this panel, or rather make the decision. So I just quickly have been jotting down a few points. Of course, I agree with what everyone has said. The times are changing, technology is going to be important. It's a value as a service. I think people want that. So I've written a few other points, and maybe it's general, and I'm going to give an anecdote. I think trust is probably the biggest thing to retain any sort of customer. Even if some other person gives them really fancy technological tools, if this person is giving him fancy options, super marble office, if you don't trust the person, he's not, especially when it comes to money, you're not going to be able to retain your customer. So I think most important is mean what you say. Be honest. And I love to say this expression that I got from a book that I read about Goldman Sachs 12 years ago. I don't know if it applies today or then. But it says, under-promise and over-deliver. And I think in India, we all tend to, some culture, over-promise, under-deliver. Kal mil jayega. You know it's not going to happen. Yes, your house is going to be ready tomorrow. Oh yeah, all the painting will be finished tomorrow. You know it's not going to happen. And so we all make a buffer for that. But why have someone make a buffer? The other important thing for them to retain your customer and for them to trust you is educate. And we at DSP BlackRock believe in that, and we're doing much, much more of that, both for our FAs and our end clients, such as educate, educate, educate. The other thing I realized is by saying no when you can't do something. If you can't do something, say, I'm sorry, it's not possible. It doesn't fit with my philosophy. And then people will understand and they'll trust you more. I just came out of an executive education class, And we were given the example of a new brokerage house coming up in the States, which I don't think was there about 5-7 years ago, called Edward Jones. I don't know how many of you all have heard of this name. I hadn't heard so much about it, but what I realized about that, they came about because of the environment that was going on in the States and what it is going on now. There've been recession, that it came up again, and the market came down again. People are confused, they don't know what to do with their money. They want someone they can trust. So Edward Jones came out with a very strong strategy and very clear and concise, lucid strategy that said, okay, we're going to grow up to 17,000 FAs. Is going to be, 1 FA offices. And most importantly, they said, we are going to grow to this by only engaging with conservative customers, and conservative being the big word. They say no very easily. If someone comes in and says, we want to make money, and some quick money, do you do day trading? No, they don't do day trading. Do you sell IPOs? They don't sell IPOs. Only mutual funds and blue chip stocks. It goes back with the word conservative. They make no exceptions. So they're very, very strong with their strategy. People know they're serious about it, and therefore the right people get attracted to them and who they can service. They say no to options, no options trading, for example, and they may get into internet trading if it can be conservative. So what does this do? It enhances your reputation. And the other thing is integrity. If you can keep your integrity, clients are going to stay. And if they trust you, because remember, this is money.